It is the week, just a day before the Turkish Grand Prix launches. Yes. Hello everyone and welcome. I'm doing this for a friend of mine, so I'm gonna be presenting this week's little show, and it is gonna be, of course, done and pre-recorded tonight. So yeah, you'll be able to watch it later on as well. So yes, be very interesting to see how this show gets on. But yeah, lots to talk about on the show tonight. Just a quick little summary of what's happening ahead of the Turkish Grand Prix in Formula 1. It is going to be packed with lots of great content. So I just want to quickly start off by talking about where Formula 1 are heading this weekend. So they're going to be heading to the Intercity Istanbul Park circuit, which is located in Turkey. And funnily enough, this circuit, guys, is a very fast track. Yes, it is. I know Formula 1 legends have raced here. Formula 1 drivers have raced here before. Istanbul Park is a favourite among many F1 drivers, and first was used back in 2005, would you believe it, as well. 2005, 2011, they raced there before 2020, when that was all one-off race because of COVID. But yes, 2005 was won by Kimi Raikkonen in a McLaren Mercedes, with Fernando Alonso finishing second in the Renault F1 and Juan Pablo Montoya finishing third. I think that was after he ran wide after losing the race lead multiple times. So yes, as well. And of course as well, 2006 would be where Felipe Massa would win the first of 3 consecutive victories at the circuit. And yes, Felipe Massa winning 3 in a row there for Ferrari. A big feat there. Obviously the same year when he won his first race, Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher both had a titanic battle for second place. And if you watch the video on the F1 YouTube channel, we actually get to see the battle actually right at the end on the last 3 corners. So yeah, it's very interesting. But the circuit itself, Istanbul Park, or Intercity Istanbul Park circuit as it's known as in Turkey. Well, how long is the track? Well, it is, according to everyone, or according to Wikipedia here, it's 3.317 miles. It is a 58 lap race as well. That takes place over that circuit, the 3-mile circuit, which features, of course, 14 corners as well. The track will start off with a run into turn 1, which is a fast straight. You'll get up to about 7th or 8th gear here, and that will be, I believe, one of the first 2 DRS zones on the track. Turn 1 is a tight left-hander, slightly off camber, very difficult to get the car pointing in the right direction on the exit. You want to make sure you're carrying a good amount of speed. Turn 2, absolutely flat out. Difficult braking zone into 3 because the track kinks to the right slightly. So very, very important. The front, this really can unsight the back end here. Lots of oversteer could be expected if you get it wrong. Then into a very tight sequence of corners at 4 and 5, where it's very important that you set them corners up nicely by using a lot of exit curb. You then have a fast little shoot down into turn 7 on the exit of 6. Turn 7 is a long right-hander. Again, very easy to get caught out by a side wind there. And then round the quadruple apex turn 8, one of the most famous corners in F1. If it's in the dry, this corner should be taken flat out in an F1 car. They have done resurfacing across Istanbul, by the way, after last year's chaotic practice session, or chaotic opening practice sessions where drivers literally had little grip on the surface. Turn 9 and 10 is a pretty technical chicane. You then head down what is effectively the longest, or the fastest part of the track, and the best chance to overtake, which is the run from the exit of turn 10 into turn 12. This will definitely be a DRS zone during the race. If it's dry, we'll see speeds of up to around 200 miles per hour down here. Then you've got turn 12. It's a very tight left-hand hairpin. Immediately be followed by 13, a right-hander, and then 14, the final corner. This is a very technical part of the lap, guys, and as I said, it can be one where you could either make it or break it for your lap. It's where most time can be made up, and it's very technical. So yes, guys, it's going to be a very interesting race, to say the least. Lots to play for with the Turkish Grand Prix. It is a race that saw last year Lewis Hamilton claim his record-equalling 7th World Championship. He also saw a pole position for a racing point of Lance Stroll, as well, and that was in wet qualifying conditions. So yeah, it's an interesting one, to say the least, guys. I can make out that this is going to be a track not for the faint of hearted. For for the Turkish Grand Prix. One track that is promising lots of interesting racing, to say the least. Lewis Hamilton there claimed that 7th World Championship last year, of course, with Sergio Perez finishing second for Racing Point. And that race, of course, he was announced that he would be leaving the team at the end of the season, only to go on and win a couple of races later in Sakir. So, yes, it's very, very important, I think. And also, Red Bull Racing are going to be running a very special livery this weekend. It's a white livery in tribute for Honda, apparently, as well. So, I think clearly we're going to be seeing a lot of that. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what I think will be happening. Will Lewis Hamilton take an engine penalty? I don't know. We just have to wait and see. Well, this is what Hamilton had to say during an interview earlier on with Sky Sports F1. Have a listen to some of this interview. I'm not going to play the whole clip. I'm just going to play some of the clip that Lewis Hamilton was speaking to the media. Have a listen to this.
I missed you in Russia, but congratulations. I missed Russia. Yeah. I missed your win in Russia. That's what I mean. But congratulations on the 100. A Centurion, not out, of course. Nice to be back in the winning habit now, and it seems to me around October is when you normally sort of hit your top gear. You know, really? in previous seasons, maybe it's just the car, I don't know. Like you've hit an extra gear at the flyaways, and you've just like rocketed ahead. Do you remember that, or maybe that's something that we've kind of thought? Is there any reason why that shouldn't be the case this year?
Well, we're not developing like we have in the past, that's for sure. In terms of the direction, there's been a direction I wanted to go, but we can't because we're focused on next year's car. But, I mean, by this time, if you don't know your car and you don't know how to get the maximum out of the car, then I don't know what you've been doing. So hopefully, but that should be the same for everyone. I was hoping for a bit of a stronger second half, but up until now, they've just been too strong, you know. They've been so strong in so many races. I mean, look, he was already in sixth or seventh place from last in the last race by lap 20. It shows just how strong the car is. Yeah. No problem passing anybody. So we have to face that they've developed for longer than us this year. They've brought more upgrades. I think they brought upgrades to every race to a point. I don't know if they still are, but we haven't brought an upgrade since Silverstone. So we're just trying to maximize what we have. And that's the challenge, but we're giving it everything we can.
Okay, there's also the question about whether you take another engine. The team are keeping their cards a bit close to the chest at the moment, so it may happen or it may not, but we'll see on that one. Just a quick one on Lando. He led the race. I'm sure you saw him as he went past that right-hander off in the wet. How do you get over a heartbreak as a driver, especially a young driver like that, and turn it into sort of a positive learning for the future? Is it an easy thing to do, or?
It's definitely not easy. I mean, when I wasn't great at it when I was 22, and even it took me, I don't know how many years it took me to figure it out. But it definitely it's definitely something that's difficult because I think for all us drivers, we expect so much from ourselves. We practice so much, we prepare, and then it's difficult to deal with failure. But that's a part of the growth. So I was actually thinking already coming here this weekend. It's just Lando's, I think, 21 years old. He's already so great, and that's only going to make him stronger. That experience, and there will be more. There'll be plenty more up ahead. But the consistency he's brought, the performance he's brought this year and last year, has been amazing to watch. So.
Thank you there to Lewis Hamilton chatting with Sky Sports F1's Ted Kravitz on Red Bull, saying they're so strong. Yeah, Red Bull certainly looked very interesting. Well, this is what Max Verstappen had to say earlier on about whether Lewis Hamilton would have to take an engine penalty, or Mercedes would have to take an engine penalty going into the Turkish Grand Prix. This is what he had to say during the media round earlier.
Well, Max, it was the best possible result, really, wasn't it, in Sochi? How have you been since? What are the hopes coming into this weekend with the title fight as close as it is?
Yeah, I mean, second for us was a really good result in Russia, and now just looking ahead. I mean, this is a bit of a question mark because of last year, being not really representative. So I hope the grip levels will be a lot better this year, and then we'll find out throughout practice, of course, how competitive we're going to be.
And there is the suggestion, should it rain, that Lewis Hamilton will take an engine penalty. Your thoughts on that, if he starts at the back of the grid?
Well, I mean, I think they still have to, of course, take one engine, so it's up to them, of course, what they do with it. I mean, we did it last race, and we'll find out one day taken.
In challenging
So thank you to Max Verstappen there for that interview there. Of course, both drivers are fighting for the championship. I believe it's only a couple of points between both of them going into this race. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And as I said, obviously, if you remember Sochi, Lando Norris leading most of that race and then just getting caught up by the weather. Max Verstappen finishing second, Lewis Hamilton taking the win in Sochi. It was a big, big race. And I have to say, I really, really think that Mercedes have got a strong chance at hopefully getting a good result. I mean, let's hope Valtteri Bottas can have a much better Turkish Grand Prix. After last year, he had a dismal race, spinning about 6 times. Almost like he looked like a cup and saucer in that race, to be honest, did Valtteri Bottas. He was swirling around all over the place in the conditions. But yeah, in the end, he only managed to finish, I think, well outside the points. But yeah, that was a very disastrous race last year for Valtteri Bottas. But yes, all I can say, guys, is that the Turkish Grand Prix will be on this weekend. I'm just going to have a quick update for you. The times for the Turkish Grand Prix this weekend are going to be released. I'm just going to check the schedule for the Turkish Grand Prix this weekend, what time you'd expect. So the race, I believe, is going to take part about 1 o'clock-ish, I think. So yeah, we're just going to quickly go through the times you're expecting to see these actions. So the race is expected to start about 1 o'clock, according to these graphics here. Qualifying will start between 1 and 2. FP1 will start tomorrow at 9:30 till 10:30. 1 till 2 will be FP2, and then Saturday, of course, 10 to 11 will be FP3. So yeah, you can also find more broadcasting via the F1 website as well. 15 hours to go on the F1 website there ahead of the Turkish Grand Prix. So you can keep keep checking the F1 website for all the times as well. In terms of the weather for Istanbul, very interesting this weekend with the weather ahead of the race. Is it going to rain in Istanbul like it did last year? We don't know yet. I can't give you a big answer to that yet at the moment, but there could be some rain around. Will the race be cool? Will there be rain? Will it be dry? We don't know yet, but keep up to date, please, on the forecast, guys, because we really want to make sure that the forecasts are important. As obviously, if the race gets delayed, or whether the race gets pushed back, or whether it goes in time, we just don't know. But yeah, as I said, guys, the weather is all about keeping an eye on it all, and hopefully we get an entertaining race. So that's the Turkish Grand Prix. I just want to quickly update you guys whilst we're on a couple of other developments in Formula 1 whilst we're here. I want to start quickly with Qatar, which is going to be hosting a race at the end of November. I think it's the 19th to 21st of November. They're going to be Formula 1 will head to Losail International Circuit, which hosted MotoGP since 2004. It's actually one of their opening races of the season, I believe, as well. So yes, that's an interesting circuit. I don't know about how the overtaking is going to go. I know there's been questions on that, but Formula 1 will race there. From 2023, a 10-year deal will be penciled in for Formula 1's host races at Qatar. As well, the Spanish Grand Prix has also been announced the Monaco Grand Prix, will start a week later than the Spanish Grand Prix now. That is only going to be a 3-day weekend, so it'll be cut from Thursday to Friday to Sunday now, instead of Thursday to Sunday. So it's just going to be 3 days, just like the traditional race weekends would. So yeah, that is Monaco for you, just to shorten that as well. Obviously, Miami. We know that Miami's going to be in, I think, the first week of May. Formula 1 will head to Miami for the inaugural Miami Grand Prix next year. I can't wait for that. So, yeah, as I said, lots of news from Formula 1. I hope people are going to get their F1 kits on this weekend, and like I have mine on as well. So it's very interesting, as I said, with obviously Mercedes and Red Bull fighting up there for the Constructors' Championship. But yes, I'm going to make a bold prediction right now and go for... I'm going to say this weekend I think it will be an interesting race. I think maybe Verstappen might be on top this weekend, but I don't know. If it's Hamilton, I think Hamilton should get in on the podium this weekend. I think Lando Norris, though, I want to watch out for him. Can Lando surprise us all again like he did in Sochi? I mean, he looks very strong. So yeah, can Daniel Ricciardo, can McLaren have a good weekend? I hope that. Let's hope so. I mean, I've been so supportive of that team since their won in Monza, and just in general this season that Lando's been showing some raw talent in that car. So yeah, that's all I can say, guys. But unfortunately, that brings me to the end of the F1 show today. But I hope everyone's enjoying themselves. Tomorrow is FP1. Please, guys, tune into your televisions to watch FP1. The action will be available on Sky Sports F1. Also, Channel 4 will be playing highlights of those sessions of qualifying and the race at the weekend. So you can tune in. If you missed the F1, you can tune in to watch it on Channel 4, the highlights for the Turkish Grand Prix. You can also watch it on Sky Sports F1. You can even watch it on YouTube as well. Honestly, guys, it's a big ask to watch all the highlights. And also as well, you can keep up to date with all the F1 news on the Formula 1 website. If you visit that, you'll get more information on the latest news. And also all the developments from the Turkish Grand Prix. And also not just Turkish Grand Prix, because there's a load of other motor racing events that are taking place as well. But Formula 1 will headline this weekend in Istanbul. And as I said, obviously just as well, remember Istanbul 2010, the two Red Bulls colliding as well. Max Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber. And Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button winning that one. So yeah, I mean, anything can happen. As I mentioned earlier, if you go down into turn 12, do you want to repeat the two Red Bulls? I certainly don't, but let's hope that racing this weekend is going to be amazing. But that's all I've got time for on the F1 show today. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Take care and goodbye.